We are now going to look at an analysis of the characters in Romeo and Juliet. During this presentation, we're going to focus only on the following key characters and the role that they fulfill in the play. We did, of course, in the introduction to Shakespeare and the play Romeo and Juliet, mention all the characters. The play would not exist without the characters, obviously, and therefore the plot revolves around them. All the themes also would not exist without the characters. Romeo and Juliet, male and female, are the joint protagonists and also tragic heroes. Romeo can be viewed as a tragic hero. As a tragic hero is described as a noble character who you can empathize with and whose flaws lead to his demise. The character of his is noble, with his titles of heir to the house of Montague, but one of his tragic flaws is impulsiveness, immaturity, and fate. In other words, it was in the stars that leads to his demise and his ultimate fall from grace. Romeo is a young man of about 16, handsome, intelligent, and sensitive. Though impulsive and immature, his idealism and passion make him an extremely likable character. He lives in the middle of a violent feud between his family and the Capulets. Romeo can also be deemed immature because of his impulsive behavior throughout the rest of the play. O me, what fray was here? Yet tell me not, for I have heard it all. He has much to do with hate, but more with love. He is extremely passionate, but soft. What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. As Romeo approaches Juliet's bedroom, he describes her in language drawn from astrology, such as suns, moons, and stars. This imagery suggests that Romeo believes his love for Juliet is not earthbound, but transcendent. Juliet herself is as a force as powerful as the sun. We must realize also that, as we have mentioned already, that he is the protagonist, he's a tragic hero, he's also part of the Montague family who are having issues with the Capulets. As we've said already, he's emotionally immature, he has an impulsive behavior. A quote that substantiates that is, "With love's light wings did I approach these walls, for stony limits cannot hold love out." He's climbed the walls to see her, and as a lover he can ignore the boundaries set by the feud between the Montagues and the Capulets. Yet Romeo's words also suggest that he retains a primary abstract and poetic understanding of love, more fantasy than reality. And later on in the play he defies the stars. In other words, that the stars have said, "You will not be together, you're destined to die," etc. By saying that comment, he feels that he will be with Juliet, and the stars cannot stop him from doing that. Basically, he refuses to accept Juliet's death. He reacts impulsively to the news that Juliet is dead by flying to her side to kill himself. When he arrives at the tomb, he impulsively kills Paris when he meets him in the Capulet tomb as well. Romeo is emotionally immature. Romeo is changeable, as at the start of the play he declares his love for Rosalind, describing his heart as heavy as lead. We find out that Romeo's depression is caused by his unrequited love for Rosalind. In other words, she hasn't responded to his coming forward to her, and she hasn't responded in an appropriate fashion for him, who spurns his advances and says she will live chaste. Rather than accept this rejection and move on, Romeo dwells on that topic. However, his emotions and feelings soon change when he meets Juliet, and this shows that Romeo is fickle, as he's openly stating he has forgotten his past love, Rosalind. O sweet Juliet, thy beauty hath made me effeminate, and in my temper softened valor's steel. We now move on to Juliet. As previously stated, she is also one of the protagonists, a tragic heroine or hero, and unfortunately she's also a Capulet. So that's the family that is having a feud with the Montagues, which of course causes issues for them. She's young, very young, approximately 13 years old, naive, beautiful and pure. My only love sprung from my only hate, too early seen unknown, and known too late. The following comment is made by Romeo, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun, the association with light, heat, sun. Juliet complains that she saw Romeo and fell in love with him too early, before she knew he was the enemy. Almost everything happens to Juliet too early. She's told to prepare herself for marriage before she's ready. She marries Romeo before she can get her parents' permission. Her marriage to Paris is moved forward twice, and Romeo arrives at her tomb before she has time to wake up. She comes from aristocratic parents and a sheltered life, and the role of a nurse is crucial in this play. She's a confidant to her, and she offers advice and guidance to Paris and Romeo. She's very determined, loyal and brave, and shows a strength of character, that I must love a loathed enemy. Even though at the beginning of the play she appears to be shy and innocent and naive, but by the depth of her character shows as she meets Romeo, defies her father, marries Romeo, and ultimately commits suicide. While appearing quiet and disobedient, Juliet displays inner strength, intelligence, bravery, wit, and independence. She tells Hamlet, not Hamlet, my apologies, she tells Romeo, deny thy father and refuse thy name, showing how strong she is, because she's just done the same. Juliet's suicide actually requires more nerve than Romeo's. While he swallows poison, she stabs herself through the heart with a dagger. There's intense love. My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love is deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite, professing her intense love for him. I will kiss thy lips, haply some poison yet doth hang on them, to make me die with a restorative. This is now Act 5, Scene 3, and that quote again, a happy dagger, example of personification, a metaphor. How can a dagger be happy? In other words, it's going to bring her joy by dying and being with her beloved. Unfortunately, they will also have the influence of fate, which is one of the key themes. O God, I have an ill-divining soul, methinks I see thee now, thou art so low as one dead in the bottom of a tomb. There she's referring to Romeo. And of course we go back to the prologue right at the beginning of the play, where it states what's going to happen. There's a bit of foreshadowing. A pair of star-crossed lovers take their life. When she wakes in the tomb to find Romeo dead, she does not kill herself out of a feminine weakness, but rather out of an intensity of love, just as Romeo did. The next character we're going to look at is Friar Lawrence, who is a Franciscan friar, and he's a confidant to Romeo, just as the nurse was to Juliet. He's kind and caring and well-meaning. He marries Romeo and Juliet, hoping that their marriage will resolve the family feud. For this alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancor to pure love. That is his hope. Unfortunately, the marriage doesn't do that, but their death ultimately resolves the conflict between the two families. He's extremely trustworthy. Both Romeo and Juliet confide and seek advice from him. But come, young waverer, come, go with me. In one respect I thy assistant be, and if thou darest, I'll give thee remedy. Remedy, of course, is the potion. He's very wise, and he speaks to Romeo and says to him, young men's love and then lies, not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. In other words, the appearance, looking at what people look like, is actually not as important as what's in their heart. He's very compassionate. He offers to comfort Juliet when Romeo is banished from Verona. The next character is Mercutio. He plays an important role. He's a very close friend of Hamlet's, my apologies, of Romeo. Loyal and a confidant. He, of course, is also a Montague. He fights Tybalt when Romeo refuses to. Why? Because he's fighting for Romeo's honor. Ultimately, he wanted peace between the two families. He's very cynical about love. He did not believe in true love. True I talk of dreams, which are the children of an idle brain, begot of nothing but vain fantasy. He's a master of puns and jokes. He rests his minimum rests, 1, 2, and a third in your bosom, the very butcher of a silk button, a duelist, a duelist. He's jealous of Romeo over his relationship with Rosalind and Juliet, and Romeo is paying more attention to Rosalind than him. Mercutio's death serves as a turning point in the play. It's a crucial moment in the play. Help me into some house, Benvolio, or I shall faint. A plague on both your houses. They have made worms meat of me. Romeo avenges his death by killing Tybalt. And then the last character we're going to look at is Tybalt. He's Juliet's cousin, so he's a Capulet. He's an antagonist, and he's regarded as one of the arch villains in the play. He's also nicknamed the Prince of Cats. Mercutio repeatedly calls Tybalt Prince of Cats, referring to Tybalt's expertise with the sword, as he's agile and fast, but also it is an insult. He's vain, arrogant, and aggressive. He's quick to fight and to draw his sword. What? Drawn and talk of peace? I hate the word, as I hate hell. All Montagues and thee. He's talking particularly about Romeo there. Romeo, the love I bear thee can afford no better term than this. Thou art a villain. He kills Mercutio, and Romeo, in an act of revenge, kills him.